And we have an incredible panel here. What I'd like our panel to do is we're going to start from the end, and you can see everybody's name. I'd like you to please tell us how you say your name, where are you from, and then what business are you in? And the killer feature at the end is what makes you cool? What makes you cool? Each one of you, what is your cool factor? So what's your name, where you're from, what's your business, and what makes you cool? Nick, you get to start.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Nick Komati. I'm from Lebanon originally, grew up in Canada, been in Dubai for about 6 years. What do? I run the F&B at the SLS Hotel in Business Bay that we opened a year ago. And what makes me cool? My wife.
Your wife makes you cool.
Otherwise, I don't.
You better fix that one, because once she's not your wife, you're not cool anymore. So what makes you cool?
No, I think we try to make it fun. I think we try to keep the energy up at work and make it a fun environment. And I think that's.
I have a feeling as we progress down the line, wait until you hear the cool factors over here. Just watch, please, Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Johnson. I'm originally from the States. A lot of people ask where. I grew up in Alabama, so I have a slight southern accent, but that doesn't make me cool. I am the better half of the husband and wife team that created, founded, own, and operate Pitfire Pizza. And what makes me cool is that I'm the pizza queen of Dubai.
Really?
Yes, I am.
That's a pretty cool feature. I like that a lot. All right, Derek.
Hi, my name's Derek Isaacs, and I'm from England. I'm from the north of England, Manchester. And I'm the editor of Yalla Abu Dhabi Life, a magazine in the capital, which is also distributed here in Dubai and across the UAE. I've been in journalism since 2005. I had my own magazine in Beirut, which is where I lived for 17 years, as well as Saudi Arabia. What makes me cool? Becky Lebnani. And Becky Lebnani, I can speak Lebanese, so I guess that makes me cool. And I'm quite fluent in it, and I can read and write Arabic. But Lebanese Arabic, of course.
All right.
Hello, everybody. My name's Laura Coughlin, and I'm the editor of What's On. I've been with What's On for what feels like forever, but it's been about 9 years now. I've been a journalist in the region for about almost 12 years. I'm British originally. My mum is Malaysian, so I'm half Asian, half British, which is my favourite trait of mine. And what makes me cool? Well, I eat a lot of food for a living, and I'm having to change my jeans sort of quite often every year because the elastic bands are sort of stretching, and I'm okay with that. So
okay, you're
I think
okay
that
with
makes
that.
me pretty cool.
You embrace the career.
I embrace it.
Gabriella. The microphone's right there. There you are. Whoop. Flip it on. There you go. Go for it.
Hello, everybody. My name's Gabrielle. I am the CEO and founder of a consultancy called Restaurant Secrets and Cornerstone 61, and we specialize in helping people like yourselves open a restaurant one day and then keep it open with the right solutions. I'm from the Caribbean. I'm a hybrid of Indo-Portuguese and French-Caribbean. Grew up in the UK, Singapore, and been here for 25 years. What makes me cool, I think, is Dubai. Dubai makes me cool.
Guys.
After spending 25 years, it keeps me on my toes. Keep on evolving, keeping on doing new things. And I am so happy to be here today and answer your questions.
All right. You want to hear mine is what you want to hear, right?
What makes you cool?
Makes me cool, and I'm going to just be totally transparent. I went into the priesthood to become a priest. I dropped out of that, and I became a stripper, and my mother caught me stripping at the place at a bachelorette party.
That's for real?
Honest to God,
Honest?
true.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I get the cool factor, but all you guys probably the same
Do we
thing.
make any jokes? Or
Guys, how many
Don't do it here
restaurants do you think are in Dubai? What do you think the number is?
Over 12,000.
Over 12,000. And what do you think the churn is of that 12,000 that open and close on a regular basis? You should know this one. Huh? Anyone want to guess? Is it 20%?
I'd say it's probably about 50%.
You think it's higher?
50,
What-
60?
60%.
Yeah.
No,
And I think you're right. I think it's around 60%. That's
60?
the number I look. 60%. And that's open and closed, but the close factor is pretty high, especially in the last 3 years, right? Closing was something we saw more often than opening. So on this now other side of COVID, I think we're all there. Is opening a restaurant different than it was before opening a restaurant before COVID? And I'm actually going to start with you, Nick. I mean, you manage tons of properties. Are you looking at a different approach in opening and maintaining a restaurant now than you did before COVID?
Not really related to COVID. I think hopefully we're over that phase. There's some changes that will remain in terms of food safety and this and that and hygiene and being a little bit more conscious of that component. But I don't think that you would completely adjust based on what COVID was. I think
So nothing with supply chain difference, nothing with anything with suppliers, nothing on that front. Everything's going to stay the same, or have you changed the way you're doing something?
No,
No?
I think well, at least personally, I don't feel that there's a major change. A few small tweaks here and there, but I think again, what changed in general is that now even more than before, people are used to order at home and stay at home and use all those delivery services. And I think the change is in that sense where we need to make it even more entertaining to get guests to come to the restaurant instead of just staying at home and ordering food, which they did for the past 2 years.
Derek, I see you shaking your head. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, all the same tools are there that you need to open a restaurant: consistency, a good business plan, a concept, etc. But I think during the time of the lockdowns particularly, I know as an editor of a magazine, it gave time to rethink their concept, to do what was working for us, what wasn't working for us. Fundamentally, it's the same, but there was a time, I think there was a lot of time, especially in Abu Dhabi, I think we were a lot more locked down than here, for restaurateurs, for all businesses, to think about their offering more. How could they expand? How could they deliver? So there are my thoughts on it. Fundamentally, it's the same tools are in place, but there's a lot more on the offering side. Maybe it's delivery.
Well, hang on, before I want to hold you for last. Hang on. Gabrielle, you of course consult. Are you seeing a difference in game plan before and after?
I so agree with you, Derek. The fundamentals don't change, but we need to keep on evolving with recessions, with pandemics and things.
Right.
So I'm on the other end, right? I don't operate anymore. I help people operate. So we were called out by so many people during the lockdowns, post-lockdown, to rethink, to help them audit what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. For me, the second consultancy that we launched recently has been an answer to exactly that. Like, how do you survive what's inevitable? You're going to have recessions. You're going to have shifts in market needs. The millennial generation, by the time we got used to their needs, now we've got the Gen Z coming up. So we've got to keep on evolving. For me, the lesson that people learned, I see the shift in the entrepreneurial mindset is that they want to know more about the hardcore business factors. They care more about their rents now. They want to negotiate their locations and their rents better. They want to build a model that relies...
Is that generational or is that because of post-COVID?
I think it's both. Part of the closure is bad rents. So correction is not shooting down bad operators. It's actually considering looking at the number of restaurants that open up and the limited space that we've got, the limited good properties that we've got to come up with a good partnership of rent with business plans. And generational, yes, the needs change. Entertainment is such a big part now of how we do F&B. So I think people are rethinking, why am I opening a restaurant, which I'm so happy to see. People thought it's the easiest business to get into, but the closures, they tell their own story. So I would say that yes, every problem, every situation has an opportunity to learn, and I see that in the entrepreneur's spirit. They're so much wiser. They ask the right questions, and I'm happy to consult in that kind of environment.
Your post-apocalypse overview of all the restaurants that have decided to close, was there a consistency, or was it just it was who's the who's, or was this so random?
Yeah, it was so random, and it was really upsetting. And what we do at What's On, which sounds sort of quite harsh, but at the end of every year, you know, we have this article which sort of showcases our RIP list, which is, you know, every year, you know, these amazing restaurants that we loved, that we rated highly, together with the ones that maybe we didn't, were closing, and it was so sad. And we were trying to understand what it was that made that particular restaurant not successful. But then you got to the end of last year, 2020. And the sheer volume of restaurants that were closing, but also the ones that weren't, that were who did everything, who were coming up with the most incredible ideas, so innovative. You know, high-end restaurants that had never offered delivery before, suddenly overnight are trying to learn a skill that Michelle knows very well as the Queen of Pizza. But, you know, trying to understand how on earth do you do that? How do you create a new market? So while it was sad that so many restaurants closed, it is lovely to sort of focus on the restaurants that did so well to stay open during such a difficult time. And we really commend them for coming up with, you know, how to offer delivery, how to create brunches. Even though we were all at home, there were some restaurants that were hosting parties and delivery boxes so that we could all have brunch. It was just
so
genius.
you were refreshed by, like you said, the creativity. QOP, it's a horrible acronym, right? The Queen of Pizza, but let's go with
Pizza Queen.
Pizza Queen.
Pizza
Okay, there we
Queen.
go. Not the Queen of Pizza. You come on. So when did you open? Because you have how many locations?
We're just about to open number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah. So
when did you first open your first location?
In 2016.
So you saw the heyday when things were going great, and then you went through again.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you know, for us, no matter how we slice it or dice it.
That's funny, by the way. You guys got
delivery,
that slice.
Delivery makes up 75 to 80% of our business, and that's just the way it is. I mean, people really want to have a pizza night at home on a Friday night. It used to be a Thursday night. I'm still not used to this.
I know.
And so, you know, we were one of the very, very, very lucky ones during COVID that were already well set up for delivery, because that's our core business. And so for us, it was more about keeping our delivery locations open and staffed with people and keeping them safe. You know, so there was a period of time during the lockdown where you know, you couldn't have a taxi of more than like 4 people in it, and so we were starting to really encounter problems with our staff getting home. So we actually put 25 of our best staff up in a hotel in the Bonington Hotel, which is right above Cluster J, for a month. It's right above our delivery kitchen, so that we could keep that delivery kitchen operating and they could get to work and go home from work every day. And yes, it was an investment, but you know, the hotel did a good deal for us, and it was just what we had to do to get through not being able to get our staff home. You know, so it was challenging for us, but at the time we had a very small dine-in restaurant, which we did have to close for a period of time, but it's a small restaurant, so it didn't like kill us, and the spike in delivery really helped. But in terms of like the difference between opening in 2016 and we're just about to open a new one, I'd say fundamentally there's no difference. We've always been very, very smart about negotiating our rent. It's part of our model. We don't need flashy places. We don't need.
But you do. I mean, you do have a very expensive rental over in the souk.
It's not a rental, actually. We were selected to be part of that market.
Wow.
And it's a revenue share. They did all of the capex, and it's just a revenue share. So
it's an amazing location.
Yeah, it's a great location. We're very, very honored to be there. We've just been renewed for another year, so we're really happy.
I was there 2 nights ago, just to let you know.
Yeah, supply chain, though, you did mention supply chain. That is different. We've noticed, I mean, some of our key ingredients, I mean, shipping still remains a mess. You know, the long-term effects of the lockdown and all of the ramifications of COVID, of people not showing up for work. Lead times are longer for equipment. You know, I mean, we buy a lot of our equipment from the States. Our ovens come from the States.
And Nick, you don't see the same problems? I mean, you have so many properties.
I think definitely, and actually, if I could add and change a little bit my answer, one of the big changes as well is in terms of recruitment. So obviously those 2 years with a lot of people staying at home, etc., I think we have a major crisis in hospitality in terms of being able to recruit good staff and people motivated to go into that line of work because they've seen and they've been exposed to something different. They've been used to staying at home much more than what they used to be. So that's as well, I think, a major change.
So you saw change in lifestyles of your employees,
yes.
Right? Did you see a supply chain issue also?
There is absolutely. There is some problems still of getting some produce here on time. There's as Michel mentioned, there's still some work to be done before that everything goes back to normal. Would that change the way you open a restaurant? Not necessarily. You do have a little lead time that's a little bit different on certain things, but I think one of the major things is really the staff, building the teams, getting the right people in, and it is getting tougher and tougher.
Nick, do me a favor real quick. Tell people the properties that you manage.
So I run completely the SLS hotel, but part of the group we have as well the 25 Hours hotel that just opened in One Central, just
amazing property
next door. Thank you. Yeah. As well as the Hyde in Business Bay, which is a great property as well that has Katsuya and Clio as restaurants.
Tandoori Tina, I think it is, right?
So yeah, 25 Hours we have Tandoori Tina, we have Monkey Bar that's already open, and then we're opening soon Ernst, which is a beer garden. And we'll be opening a venue called Habibi's a little bit later down the line.
Okay, just touched upon COVID, which we did. Now I want to kind of play Pop Idol, okay? And all of you are going to get to be Simon Cowell, okay? You're all going to have that attitude. And I want to know if somebody comes in front of you with a plan idea of a restaurant, okay? And you're going to go, nah, it's not going to work. What would be those 3 things that everyone for some reason assumes is going to work is destined for failure? I want you to think of the things that could be, maybe it's a Peruvian mixture with Australian and it's a wine bar. What? I want you to think what is destined for failure that you see often, and it might be the inexperience of the people that are opening the restaurant, but what's destined for failure? Who wants to go first? I knew you were going to go, so destined for failure, what do you got?
One of the big mistakes I see people making, especially creative people who have a good food, they can cook, they've got a good product. Yes, you've got to have a good product, but they fail because they don't know how to run a business. And at the end of the day, it's not big profit margins in our business. So if you don't know how to run a business and run it profitably, then you're never going to make it. For me,
you're just saying business skills right away. If they don't have it, destined for failure.
Yeah. If they don't have it, they better have someone who does.
Wow, something's that simple. What else is destined for failure? Anyone else?
Yeah, I think it's not having enough investment as well.
Capital.
Capital. And where is it capital? Is there enough capital? You might have 500,000 K, and then by the time you open, it's $1 million. And then what about after then for your marketing budget? And things like, it doesn't stop there, and you open the doors, everyone comes in, which I'm sure you're aware. They don't. So you'll need marketing budgets, you'll need supply budgets, and that continues and continues and continues. And when is a restaurant established? Well, in Dubai, probably never, because it's a transient city, isn't it? With people moving from place to place, coming in and out. So you always need to be marketing yourself, investing in that, investing in staff come and go, training staff. But for me, it's investment.
I like that. So capital, we're looking at just business savvy. Who else? Go for it.
I think it's when somebody wants to follow a current trend instead of innovate. So, you said Peruvian. I think 4 or 5 years ago, there was more Peruvian restaurant in Dubai than in Peru. Everybody, they opened Koya, it was a great success, and everybody decided to open Peruvian restaurant left, right, and center, which, also, you need to not necessarily look at what's presently working, what could work in the future, be different, don't try to just copy-paste something else and thinking, well, this one's doing well, I can do the same. It doesn't work that way, especially when you go into niche cuisines.
So don't follow a trend, is what you're saying.
No,
don't.
I think it's too late. If a trend is a trend for that period of time. By the time you get to the next step, by the time you open your restaurant, because it does take time and it does take a lot of work and it doesn't happen overnight, and people think they're going to open, you know, how many restaurants
So you
do
got
you
to
know
create
that
something new.
Sorry?
You got to create something new, like a churros with a hot dog in it. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be called.
Or
I mean, how many burger places do we really need? Honestly,
It's so true.
it's crazy.
You don't want to look like America
But can you-
at all. What do you guys think?
Can I just say, if you could open a burger joint if you wanted. There are lots of them. We're on delivery, but if you got a passion for that and you believe in your product as well, I think you can eventually. You can prove me wrong if you want to carve your market through that as well. You know, there is a chance.
Absolutely.
But I think it's if you are going to open that burger brand, are you doing it for the right reason? So someone who just sees, oh, burgers are loved by Dubai, I'm going to open a burger brand because they'll make loads and loads of money. I think with me, I love the story behind a restaurant. And whether it's you know, high-end restaurants think that they can just, you know, slap on a celebrity chef or a Michelin-affiliated chef to a restaurant, and Dubai is going to love that forever and ever and ever. Now, it might have some sort of, you know, pull for a short period of time, but those top chefs come and go. You know, can the rest of your team sustain that sort of, you know, loyal fan base? It's not everything.
So you're saying partnerships.
I'm saying I'd rather go, personally, I would rather go to a restaurant that has true passion, that's not come from a celebrity chef that's come internationally. Yeah,
and a story.
I much prefer
you know, we spoke, Laura and I, a little bit earlier. You need a story. Opening another restaurant serves no purpose.
So
There's enough. There's
so
enough.
when we're talking about what fails, you're saying no story, no soul.
No
right?
story. Yeah, you need a reason why you're opening.
Yeah.
Because
I
you want to
agree
feed people. People are fed. Obviously.
Nick came up with a fantastic story for a restaurant within a hotel. You know, Folia, and please explain the story of this. But it was, you know,
No, so
you're probably tasked with the job of opening a restaurant in a hotel, like everybody does. But how do you make people sort of care about it? And you did a very nice job.
Thanks. Now, with Filia, for example, so Filia is open at the SLS Hotel. Filia original brief was an Italian-American restaurant, but you know, our CEOs came to me and said, you know what, we need an angle. We don't want to open just another Italian restaurant. There's enough Italian restaurants. What can we do with this venue? And then, you know, the creative mind came into effect, and Filia, meaning daughter in Italian, came up with, you know, the mother-daughter generation from woman to woman, and we created the first venue in the region that's completely female-led. So our chef, all the management are all women, and the menu is split into Nonna, Mama, Filia. So, you know, again, I think the best food we all had was our mom's cooking, right? So I think that's always, you know, and it's the right angle, it's the right thing to do. I think it's something that it's very good on this panel, but it's still, you know, we still need more women in F&B and in hospitality in general. And I think, you know, if we could use that as a platform to promote this, I think it's a win-win for everyone.
It's a great idea. It really is. Come on, you get to see it. You look at these business plans. What is not going to work?
So for me, it's not just opening my own restaurant. My responsibility is helping others open theirs and stay open. And I think for me over the years, the one thing that will make you stand apart is putting purpose to your passion.
No, wait. I don't want positive. I want what's going to fail that you've seen. Because I know you're going to go with that. But let's talk about if you see this in a business plan or you see somebody that's doing it, it's destined to fail.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that in a second. But if you're not going to bring purpose to your passion, you're going to get emotional. You're going to make decisions that are not good for your business, not good for your people. So for me, getting into business, the reason to get into business, you need to have the right reason to get into business. Remember, your job is stewarding your people, your product, you know, and being a leader, you're going to have so many challenges. You're going to have to go through recessions and pandemics, and people are going to leave. You're going to have problems. You're going to have financial crunches. It's not an easy thing to do business. And especially, I agree with you, Michelle, in our business, the numbers, it's a numbers game. We crunch really small numbers. And people that don't understand that business is about a great financial understanding of what you're doing, plus a people mentality, plus a great story, plus good marketing, and loving what you do every single day. And when you don't love it, you have to motivate other people, your team, to be out there. For me, to answer that question of what fails, I think when people think that I'll open a restaurant because, sorry, this might tick a lot of boxes in the audience, because my mother is a great cook, or my wife is a great cook, or because I'm so good at this. I do a barbecue, and this is directed at the men. I do a barbecue, and all my friends say I should open a restaurant. Oh, I hear that all the time. If you do that, be a great host, you know, get people over and enjoy that. But opening a restaurant is a big commitment. And if you got your eye on those people that need to get paid, your team, your suppliers, the landlord, and yourself, you'll think twice. So I think getting into the business, understanding that I'm going to compete, I'm going to have to lose sleep, I'm going to have to work harder than the rest. There's no magic chef or GM who's going to take the responsibility of your decisions. You're the leader, you're the boss. You've got to make those tough decisions. And I think the other reason why people fail is because they do not anticipate the market needs. I've seen clients who come in and say, I want a great restaurant and I want people to love it, like they love Zuma and Koe and the others. But when they start getting involved with interiors, with menu, they start saying, I don't like this, or I don't think this color. So they start doing things for themselves. You need to keep an eye on your market, and the market is changing rapidly, faster than we can keep up with it. So the people who really know what the market wants, and they understand that business is serving people. It's about understanding what that person wants and then bringing everything to the table. Those people make it. And the ones, it's all about you and you're leaving a legacy. It's a great thing, but getting over emotional about what you're doing and doing it for yourself rather than for others is a sure failure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Social media, friend or foe? I mean, literally, that's a panel all by itself, right? The ratings world of TripAdvisor and all these things that at times feel like you're not in control of. It's everyone else out there. How do you deal with it? How do you keep it intact? How do you manage it? First, favorite social platform as of today is what?
TikTok.
TikTok. Isn't that crazy?
I can't stand it.
I can't stand it, right?
No, it drives me insane.
You don't dance? And
No.
But TikTok is really, you need to know it, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I've got my own, yeah. I mean, we were going to get into it, and I just hated it so much that I was like, I'm not doing this, you know? So for us, Instagram is our main social voice.
But you know it's got to go towards the TikTok world.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I understand.
You're just resistant.
There's
right now.
Reels, though. We've got Reels now on Instagram. Yeah, so, you know.
Do you feel, for what you're doing with all these different experiences in the hotels, is social media important?
it's not important. It's essential.
It's essential.
Essential
100%.
component.
Wow.
You cannot, especially in a market like Dubai where you do have over 12,000 restaurants, you know, social media is extremely important. People like Laura and Derek are extremely important in their magazines. You need the visibility. You need to be present. You know, people forget about you. You know, there's 12,000 restaurants. Honestly, most people go to the same 10, and they can name only 10 of them because, you know, that's what they're registered in their mind. So you need to be extremely aggressive on those platforms. You need to be present. You need to treat it as an essential part of your business. Otherwise, you know, you don't exist. If people
Platform
don't talk
of choice?
about you, you don't exist.
Platform of choice?
Sorry.
Platform?
Still Instagram, definitely. But
still IG.
But you know, I think yes, TikTok is part of the future, and eventually there's going to be something else. You know, it's always Facebook was the number one 10, 15 years ago. Today, Facebook is less relevant. It still applies to a certain clientele. Instagram is, you know, I think in Dubai number one. If you go to market like Saudi Arabia, you know, Snapchat is very important.
Snapchat.
And so, you know, so again, I think it goes back to knowing the region, knowing your market, and knowing your guest and talking to your guest. When you go and you talk to a guest sitting in your restaurant, and how did you hear about the restaurant? And they might have heard about it from What's On, they might have heard about it from TikTok, and the more you know about that, the more you know how to attract those people.
Do you have an internal team that manages your social platform, or is it external?
No, absolutely. Well, we have both, right? So we always have a marketing team in each property, and then what we do is that we do have a PR agency for each venue, and they are completely implicated as well in the social media component.
Laura, you want to say something?
Yeah, from our point of view, from my point of view, with What's On, social media is everything. You know, we can, when we write about stories or top restaurants, yes, we can get some stuff through Google search, but most of the stories that are read from our site come from our social platforms. So Instagram is key. TikTok, but you look at Instagram, even our Instagram, we've probably got like maybe 250,000 on Instagram. We started that in 2014. We started TikTok last year. We have 100,000 in less than a year. So it's the sort of rise of TikTok is amazing. The issue with TikTok at the moment is that you can't link through. So I can head to Pitfire or whatever, create a very short video that is consumed by the masses, but they can't link through. So you have to sort of make it quite clear where you are. So I think they're all quite important as your whole sort of marketing strategy. But I think that restaurants should absolutely have it and pay super attention to it, because for smaller businesses that may not have the luxury of a giant PR team to send out press releases to people like Derek and I, we are looking at people's Instagrams to see what they look like. You know, what does the food look like? Are your images on point? Are you creating great video? What is your story? Because if you're just posting rubbish pictures, we're going to assume it's not a great restaurant, which isn't very fair. So I think definitely focusing on your social media strategy is really important.
You're saying the same thing. Is it IG for you? Or what you look at?
Yeah, IG. I mean, I'm an IG person personally, and our magazine's big on IG. And for restaurants, I would definitely look on IG for the pictures and food. But it's not the only thing. I do think they need, across the board, print media, stories on websites such as What's On and Yella as well. It's part of a whole. And is it a friend or a foe?
On the earned media side specifically, right? Are you talking about somebody writing you up, not paid, but earned?
Can you say that again, sorry?
Earned media as opposed to paid media.
Yeah,
you
sure.
want the story. Those are really important. Most people, by the way, when you pay for an article or you pay for an advertisement, that's called unearned, meaning you paid to get it there. Earned media means you've earned it because you have a good story, exactly what you brought up, or your cuisine is mind-blowing. That's what you want, is earned media.
Yeah, exactly. You it's like word of mouth. You want me sharing it because I've been in there. That's really great, and I do on my personal one, of course. But also, is it friend or foe? It can be both. You can be a great friend. You cross it, you're dead. You know, you have to play your, sorry to be dramatic, but you have to play your cards right.
I'm going to give you 2 social platforms you guys have not mentioned that are insanely mind-blowing, that are underrated, that are incredibly searched. I'll tell you that in a moment. What do you think?
I agree with Laura, and of course with you, Derek, that it is a friend and a foe. I mean, it's what you seek is what you find, right? So I recall when we started building restaurants almost 2 decades back, we didn't have the access of this online platforms like Instagram, TikTok, the others. I remember that I had to pay people to put flyers in people's houses, and you never knew how that would turn out, right?
I like how you date yourself by saying that. I remember when it was flyers.
I do, actually, I do. And that's what came to me. I was like, it's become so much easier. The more digital we've gone, it's actually easier to reach your audience if you got good content. And you need to have good content because these platforms are not just marketing you, they're positioning you, they're communicating your brand. Everybody is online, including myself. I've had to give in and I have an Instagram page now, which is a year old, which I try to stay away from all these years. But this is the world we live in. This is where people make decisions.
Okay, so here's the 3. I actually have 3 platforms that are underutilized. The first one you're going to laugh at, it's Quora.
Quora, yeah.
What?
Exactly, Quora. Quora is actually one of the most searched question and answer platforms out there. So if you type in what are the best restaurants in Dubai, it's
What's on will appear.
Yeah.
Do they?
Actually, Quora, you know what comes up first is it's a Google search. Generally, who bought the SEOs on that would be a LinkedIn. That's SEO. They're linked in properly. Then it's Quora. You can own the top SEO in Quora by just populating that question. Okay. Number 2 is Pinterest.
Pinterest,
Especially when someone goes to images.
Yeah.
When they go to images, they're going to look at what cuisine looks like. Pinterest comes up number 1. So whoever has populated their Pinterest page will dominate that side of Google.
Yeah.
And last is the next one that's about to explode that literally is brand new. It's Substack. Substack is it's a free subscription magazine service. So like you should be on Substack, both of you. You know what Substack is, right? People subscribe to you, and anytime you publish something which is free, it is automatically sent to their email. It goes through their spam. It's automatically one of the top things they'll read. It's completely free, or you could have it paid. What's interesting about the paid, it's a membership. So if they say, hey, I'm a premium Substack member of yours, you could give them discounts. So Substack is very interesting. Again, these are all brand new platforms. Not Quora. Quora's been around a long, long time. But these are underutilized, but they search insanely well. And they're free. So something to pay
I'm going to
attention
set up a Pinterest account.
Pinterest is great. It's got millions.
I love Pinterest, but I've never thought about it for Pitfire. No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And because most of us we do a Google search, but then what do we click on is images.
Yes.
And we want to see things that go, oh, I feel like what I'm looking at now. But Pinterest is underutilized in your space, which blows my mind. Interior designers do it, architects do it. Why wouldn't people in the food industry?
Okay, we're doing it. You've convinced me.
I love it.
Kind of a no-brainer, right? Okay, so as we go through this whole now, the other side, I actually think COVID was dress rehearsal. I believe something else in the next decade's going to hit again. I hate to say it, right? So that's why I always ask, what did we learn during COVID that we're going to apply and use? Because if it ever comes up again, that we have to go into an emergency mode. And by the way, it may not be COVID. I hate to say this, but maybe there's a conflict that happens in the region. Maybe something happens to where it changes the dynamic and the inbound tourists aren't there as much. What do you need to do to stay alive in the next situation? And I hate to bring it up, but it's real. It's a real conversation that's taking place. UAE was put on the red list in the last 3 weeks in the United States because of what happened in Abu Dhabi. So all of a sudden, American tourists are going, oh, I can't go there because it's dangerous, which we all know is ridiculous. But just think about that. So what do you do to stay alive and make sure, or suggestions in that situation? What do you think?
So it's a tough question.
It is,
not,
but it's real.
It's not something that you want to overly think about in a certain way. I think, any situation of that sort would create a lot of closings with, again, I personally think that it is a space that is overpopulated in terms of restaurant, and there's way too many for the population here. So that would always affect. You need to be flexible. You need to be flexible with your cost, your labor cost. I think this is something that we all earn on both sides, right? As an employee and as an employer, to make sure that you have a little bit more flexibility, that you don't over-hire either, that you hire the right people, but that you keep it a little bit more compact, in order to be more flexible and adaptable. If in a situation of conflicts, I come from Lebanon, we've dealt with that a lot. We just move. It goes there. We open. Something bad happens in this emirate, you move to the next emirate and you open there. That's what Lebanon's all about. But obviously, I think we're lucky we live here where those kind of conflicts are not something that would ever happen, because the way they run the country here. I think it's the safest place on earth. I think you have more issues in the States than here. On that level, but definitely I think being adaptable, flexible, being able to go into delivery mode and those phases, I think.
But don't you always want to plan for the worst and hope for the best? And
No.
no, really?
A little bit, yeah, definitely. But again, you have to believe
It's
in
not
what
in
you're
our
doing.
DNA to plan for the
You have to
worst.
believe
It's
in
not
what
in
you're
the
doing.
DNA to plan for the
Otherwise,
worst.
you wouldn't open restaurants. Plan for the worst part. People hate your food, and they're not coming to your
But
place.
Michelle, real quick, are you saying it's not in your DNA of being in the region or in the restaurateur space?
As a restaurateur.
So you always want to be in that optimistic, no matter what, it's
Yeah,
going to be
because
good.
you have to be.
You have to. You have
It's
to.
a tough business, and I mean, like when COVID hit, none of us expected it. It was completely unpredictable. It was something that we just had to quickly adapt to, and the restaurants that were able to be agile and make adjustments, and like what Laura was talking about earlier. You can only just take a situation for what it is and then just figure out a way around it. Because that's what we do every day, 24 hours a day. We are solving problems in this business. So it's just another problem to solve. Now let's figure this one out.
So this now goes back to not just being a great entrepreneur and business person, you got to be a problem solver.
Yep.
If you're not a problem solver, forget this business.
And you got to think ahead. I mean, I was ordering flour and tomato sauce by the container when Italy was hit the hardest, because I was afraid that we wouldn't get any shipments out of there. So those were the kinds of things that I did proactively to make sure we had the supplies that we needed to stay open.
Stay open. You want to say something?
Yeah, for us, for example, that we work in hotels, there's a big difference between the room division and the F&B division. Room, everything is planned ahead. You know that you're getting 84 check-ins around that time, etc. F&B has always been a reactive thing. You have all of a sudden a walk-in, a table of 12, and you weren't expecting them, and then you react. So by nature, we are more on the reactive side than necessarily planning. I think that makes sense. That's where it comes to our DNA to a certain extent. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't plan, and I think definitely we should spend more time planning. But there is a big component that is very reactive to a situation and adapting to that situation.
I got a fun word for you. You probably never heard of it. It's propinquity. And it means relevant product for a relevant time. So we may have seen different fashion lines do something called drops. Like we're going to drop a certain pair of shoes at this time and that's it, and the quantity is limited. Or we saw McDonald's offer breakfast throughout the entire day because their numbers showed that breakfast actually was craved throughout the actual entire day. So they figured out relevant product for a relevant time. And I was wondering, have you guys ever thought of doing drops, limited time only? At this time, you could get something during your idle time to start bringing in a bigger crowd? Because idle times are really important when there's not enough business to have something that's more propinquity based. You're going to say something.
I love that question. You know why? Because during the entire lockdown, I had so much time on my hands, which I never have, and I came up with this business model that was exactly what you said, Ked. Was supposed to be called Secret Deals, and it was targeted at restaurants. Because, when we discount our restaurants on Groupon and stuff, we sort of lose the brand. But the word drop is such a cool word in the fashion market. Mm-hmm. So I came up with this idea, and I started building it, and then we all opened up our restaurants. I had to get back, to work, get the consultancy up and running, we used to operate restaurants those days, get them going. But I like that you're saying that because it makes me rethink that. I think it's a great idea because if you have a deal only for a few hours and if it's in your neighborhood, and you can only get it here for the next 10 minutes, I think there's people love that. I like that idea.
We're running out of time, so what I want to know your hidden gem of a restaurant that you are not managing, you do not own, you're not a client, you know they're not on the RIP space, the rest in peace space. What is a hidden gem in Dubai that we all need to venture out to? What's the cuisine? What's the name? Go ahead. Come on, Nick.
Let's start with Laura. She's more...
You want to start? Okay, Laura,
Start with me. This is difficult, and I'm sorry if you're in the room and I don't mention you, but my all-time favorite right now it's called 21 Grams. 21 Grams is a Balkan restaurant. Already there, got a beautiful story. Stasha, who sort of basically lives and breathes that brand is in that restaurant every time I'm in that restaurant.
Grams.
And it's called 21 Grams. They had a small little place, and she's just opened up and moved into a much larger space with a terrace. But it's a beautiful location in Jumeirah. She's also in Time Out Market alongside.
All right.
Alongside
21 Grams.
Michelle.
Who else?
Oh, the end.
I've got one. There's a little Thai restaurant which is family owned and run called Sticky Rice. And they are in a really obscure location in JVC, and it's just this tiny little place, and their food is epic. It was started by a mother who was cooking for the Thai community here in Dubai, and then her son and daughter helped her get the restaurant off the ground, and now they're still selling Mama's food, and
I love it.
it's
Sticky Rice.
Sticky Rice.
21 Grams. Come on, Nick.
I'll stick to JLT, Bet Mariam, which is a Lebanese, Palestinian actually, a restaurant. She's herself in the kitchen daily, and it's a great restaurant over there.
Derek.
Okay, mine's going to have to be in Abu Dhabi because that's where it came from.
Okay.
And if you go to Abu Dhabi, please do go to Defence Road to Bosnia Hut. It's a tiny, authentic Bosnian restaurant. You can fit about 8 people inside of it. And there's a great story because Laura's talked about stories. We're interested in stories. A Bosnia hut, or a hut in Bosnia, is the huts you get where they fish on the lakes and where they would barbecue food and stuff like that. And there's a whole history going back in Islam as well to the Ottomans as well. So there's a taste or a flavor of Turkish, and even back when people used to go on pilgrims to Mecca, so there's these kebabs that they used to take with them, and they serve all this stuff, and the waiters are from Bosnia, the chef is from Bosnia, the wife is from Bosnia, but it's a walk-in as well. Will you fit in it?
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it. Do not say Global Village. What would be yours?
Amazonico. I love that place. And it's not because I love hidden gems like most of you mentioned. But for me, I don't know, maybe it's because what I do, I like to see the whole picture. It's like a checklist in my head of F&B. So the interiors, the music, the ambience, the location, the service, the food. And I go there more often than I should because it always hits all the marks. So I think it's more of what I do for a living. That for me, everything, I see things differently, and Amazonico does it. Filia, I love it. Pitfire Pizza, I love your food. So yeah, there's
but you know
such
what's
good
interesting? You all proved something. That story is so important. You all had a story about your favorite place. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Let's give a big hand for these incredible panelists, and let's visit every one of these places they mentioned. We're going to take a quick photo, and we have another panel starting in about a minute, so just stay there, okay?